All right, some LSU football news. You get a big transfer from North Dakota State. Jabril Cox comes over, 6'3", 230 pounds, two-time All-American, top freshman in the FCS in 2017. You've had a chance to actually interview him on Off the Bench. That'd be a great resource to go back and listen to that interview. You can catch that on the Off the Bench Twitter page. I think this is a big get for LSU. Now, I'm not saying this guy's going to come in, he's going to dominate the SEC, but it's a position that was extremely thin, and LSU needed to add bodies, and what better way than to go get a guy who has played at a high level, because regardless of what you think of the FCS, they are the cream of the crop. I mean, they are the top tier. They can beat a lot, and they have beaten a lot of FBS schools. I think this is a big get for LSU.
I mean, what was their record when he was there at North Dakota State?
Did they lose?
I believe along the line of it was either 35-1 or 36-1 with 3 natties in his 3 years. So, and he was a freshman of the year for the conference. He was player of the year for the conference. He was a 2-time All-American, nominee for the freshman of the year for all of FCS. It's award after award. And so when you combine his resume with what really smart football people seem to think about him, I mean, he was a highly prized transfer. Mike Detillier, I think, tweeted this morning, he would have been 75th overall on his big board had he chosen to come out this year. So you're looking at a top 3 round guy right there. So when you combine those two things with LSU's track record in terms of getting transfers, and this looks like another home run. And admittedly, I don't watch, obviously we pay attention way more to LSU than we do schools across the country, but I don't think it's hyperbole to say that LSU is like at least top 3 when it comes to taking advantage of the transfer market. And so when you look at Cole Tracy and Joe Burrow, which are probably the 2 premier examples that equated to direct wins and losses, but then you combine even guys like Terrace Alexander, Thad Moss, not technically Fehoko, and not technically, those last 2 not technically grad transfers, but still, Ed Orgeron looking at his roster, seeing a hole, and knowing that, okay, I have to get creative to fill it. Well, linebacker and O-line on this 2020 team are the holes to me. And so now you get the top grad transfer at a position of need, and you've been a pretty good talent evaluator. I mean, it's a home run.
I would argue that the middle linebacking position is more important this year than it was the last couple of years, because you are changing to a 4-3 defense. You've been a 3-4. Before, you really only needed 2 middle linebackers. And obviously, you're changing. So you need a Will, a Sam, and a Mike now. So you need more, not only bodies, you need depth, but you need another starting linebacker as well. And his frame is 6'3", 230. He can play any position in that 3, I think. I truly think that. And he had 5.5 sacks a year ago. And so he can bring that aspect to it as well, as far as being a 3-down linebacker.
He definitely, I mean, his stats read as a 3-down linebacker. I think he had like 9.5 TFLs to go along with that sack number. And speaking with him, he's obviously very mature, right? He's been successful in doing things the right way for 3 years on this level. He sounds very level-headed, very reasoned. And it kind of speaks to that leadership when you read about him that some of his former teammates talk about as well. And so, I mean, I think although this is a tough hill to climb, right, especially, I mean, we talk about all the time about how hard it was for Joe Burrow to acclimate himself with the team in a summer. Essentially, he might have even less time given the current setup. And so it's going to be tough, but just speaking with him, seeing how he carries himself, he feels like someone who could be capable of taking on even maybe like a leadership role pretty soon.
That's a great point you make, in the fact that if he does play a Mike linebacker, you want him to be able to have that interaction not only with the players but the coaches as well, because you do hold the defense in your hands. You are the guy that gets everybody lined up and ready to go. But I do like the 3 of Baskerville, Clark, and since you add Cox to this, I do think that is a really good starting 3. If, in fact, nobody else steps up and steps out and takes one of those spots, I would assume.
How are you breaking them down, Sam, Mike, and Will?
Guys. That's going to be I guess Clark would be your Sam, because he does have the size and he has played in before. So if you do put him on the line of scrimmage, he can do that.
I think about that Damone Clark bull rush all the time. Was that in the SC championship? It was against either Oklahoma or Georgia.
I thought it was Oklahoma, but
maybe it was Oklahoma.
They all run together.
I mean, either, because those are in the same stadium. They're both red. Okay, my brain, they absolutely run together. Either way, yes, I like that with Damone Clark and Sam, because the strength is there, definitely.
I think so as well. And then it just depends on, I would assume Baskerville is your Will and Cox would be your Mike linebacker.
Kind of feels like that.
It does feel like that. And Baskerville is an extremely fast guy. We've seen that on defense and special teams as well. He almost returned that kick for a touchdown against Vanderbilt. He blocked the punt for a touchdown. So he definitely has some athleticism there as well. But I tell you what, it is a nice starting three. The one concern, like you mentioned, how much time do you have to gel together to kind of be the leader of the defense? We've talked about the defensive front and liking the bodies there, so much so that you can move a Joseph Evans to the center position. And so some of these depth issues are starting to work themselves out on the defensive side of the football. But you did mention the offensive line.
Yeah.
And it is extremely thin right now. But you still have 2 spots left that if you do want to go get a grad transfer, you can do so. Because a lot of people assume when you go and get a grad transfer, you're looking for a star. That's not always the case. And sometimes you're not even necessarily looking for a starter. You're looking for depth. You're looking for someone who has played, who might be a redshirt junior, has played somewhere, has experience, that if your guy goes down, you don't think the world's falling when you put him in the lineup.
What's the is it the Quick Seal commercial, Lloyd? With the guy who slaps, he's got the tank that's leaking and he slaps the tape on there.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. You got a leak, you got a little problem. Doesn't have to be great, just needs to get the job done. Just bam! Now the roster's just that much better.
What's that? It's like Flex Seal, right?
Flex Seal, there we go.
I'm like an infomercial.
Yes.
Like I stay up way too late watch
They have this. I mean,
infomercials.
while I still think that CST should carry off the bench CST, which we're currently on, they do play a pretty sweet knife infomercial in the morning. This guy cuts through like 15 water bottles at once.
Jackhawk
The crowd
9000.
goes crazy. Oh, it's incredible, dude.